Hello. For this, you're going to need your flip book that we made on Tuesday. It should be already set up. We're going to be working in the tabs today. The first tab has properties of numbers. We're going to be working on that first tab there. So I'm going to put, this is the additive, oops, excuse me, additive identity. Okay, so make sure you're working in this tab, okay? So additive identity is a property where you can add ah, 0 to any number and the value does not change. For example, 2 plus 0 is 2, or 0 plus 2 is 2. We've added 0 to the 2 and it doesn't change. I can do this with variables as well. If I take a, some number a plus 0, I will get a. Adding 0 changes nothing. 0 plus a is a. This is your additive identity. All right, so we're going to flip to the next one. This next tab is the additive inverse. So in that one, we're going to write the number you add to another to get 0. So for example, if I have the number 3, I would have to add a negative 3 to get 0. Your additive inverse would be negative 3. If I have negative 7, I would have to add a positive 7 in order to get 0. Your additive inverse would be positive 7. If I give you the variable a, I would have to add a negative a in order to get 0. Or if I have a negative a, I would have to add a positive a to get 0. That's your additive inverse property. Next tab is your multiplicative identity tab. So underneath that one, we're going to put when you multiply a number by 1, you always get the same number. A lot of these things we already know, but they just have a fancy name that we have to know now. So for example, if I give you the number 5 and multiply that by 1, you will get 5. If I give you a negative 7 and multiply that by 1, you will get negative 7. Similarly, if I give you the variable a, multiply that by 1, you will get a. Or if I take 1 times a, you will get a. So any number that you multiply by 1, you will get that same number in the end. Okay, so let's look at the multiplication property of 0. Oops. So, and this is that tab for that one. So when you multiply any number by 0, you get 0. So for example, if I give you the number 3.6234 times 0, you will get 0. If you multiply 1/4 times 0, you will get 0. If you multiply 1,000,000 times 0, you get 0. I'll put parentheses around that so it looks like I'm multiplying. If I take a variable, if I take the variable a times 0, I get 0. Or 0 times a, you get 0. Any number you multiply by 0, you get 0. Okay, so let's look at the multiplicative inverse. This is the tab for that one. This one's a fun one, and we use this one a lot, especially when we're simplifying fractions. So it's what we look for when you multiply another number to get 1. So I'm going to say so if I give us the fraction 4, which is really 4 over 1, 4 divided by 1 is 4, I wouldn't want to multiply this by its inverse to get 1. Well, the inverse is just the reciprocal, the flip of this. So if I were to take 1 over 4 and use the multiplying properties when you're multiplying fractions, multiply straight across, you get 4 over 1 times 4 is 4, and that reduces to 1. So the inverse of 4 is 1/4. So I'm going to even put inverse. Example, I give us this example. Let's say I want 7. Well, the inverse of 7 is really 7 over 1. So if I multiply that by 1/7, I end up getting 1. Or your 7's cancel out. Your inverse is 1/7. If I started with a fraction, let's say I started with 1/2, I would have to multiply that by its inverse. Well, the reciprocal is 2 over 1, which gives me 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 1 is 2, which is 1. So your inverse happens to be 2, or 2 over 1. So all we're doing is really taking the reciprocal. I'll put the flip. This also works for negative numbers. So if I were to give us the problem like -1/2, I want 1 in the end. So if I want the reciprocal of this would be 2 over 1, but it has to be negative because I have a negative times a negative gives me a positive. I want 1 in the end. So I end up getting -1 times -2 is +2 over 2, which is 1. So your reciprocal is -2, or the inverse. Also works for variables. So if I give you a over b, the reciprocal would be b over a. We do get 1. So if I multiply these two together, you get 1. It's a fun one. All right, let's look at the commutative property. Of addition. And that should go in that next tab. Commutative property of addition says that order when adding does not change. Or sorry, not the word I was looking for. I'm going to erase that. Does not matter. I'm going to put an exclamation point there. So for example, and we've seen this before and it makes sense, 3 plus 4 is 7. But if I switch the order of 3 plus 4, 4 plus 3 is still 7. I switched the order when I was adding. Does not matter. We get 7 in the end. So if I do this with variables, let's say I have a plus b is the same thing as b plus a. No matter what number I put in there, it doesn't change the value. So for example, or I guess I'm going to put down order does not matter with addition. Now the big question is, does it matter with subtraction? So if I were to look at example 4 minus 2, is that the same thing as 2 minus 4? No, it's not. They do not equal, so I'll put a do not equal sign here. So order does matter with subtraction. Let's look at the commutative property of multiplication. And that goes in that tab. So with this one, order does not matter. When multiplying. For example, I use this one a lot. 2 times 3, is that the same thing as 3 times 2? Yep. Both of them you do get 6. If I give us the problem some number a times b, is that the same thing as b times a? Always? Yep. No matter what. And then order does matter with division though. For example, 2 divided by 3 is not the same thing as 3 divided by 2. 2 divided by 3 is the fraction 2/3, which is like 0.6 repeating. 3 divided by 2 is, well, 1.5. Not the same. So order does matter when it comes to division. All right, I'm going to stop here. You're going to want to watch part 2 of the video next.